This video is a special storytime request from one of my subscribers named Mateo. And let me get my phone so I can read his exact message. So this one says, "Hey Preston, I loved your storytelling videos. Thank you. And I would like to know if you could do one about your first love story. Much love from Italy." So thank you very much, Mateo. And of course, we can get into some of those stories. And I did see Mateo actually left a very kind message a few days ago that says, "Are you ready for this, guys? You are the best ASMR artist out there. So subscribe if you agree." That point was, that was a PowerPoint and a half. My girlfriend can't stand ASMR, but we always watch your videos together, and she actually enjoys your voice. Isn't that awesome? So shout out to you both, and that's so cool that you watch together. That is that's the dream right there. And he also says, kind of sad that this August I will be in Togo and will miss your videos. Well, Mateo, hopefully this one will go out before you are on vacation. But let me know if you need a chaperone. I could be available. So guys, if you are seeing this video right now, it means that I was successfully able to fix my computer. So right now it is kind of lying in pieces on the table back there, but I think I know what the problem is. So if I am able to export it before then, I have fixed the problem, and I'm very excited about that. So let's get into what tonight's video is about. My first love story, which is going to take us back. Oh my goodness, I'm just doing the mental math right now. It is going to take us back to 2012. Can you guys believe it's already been a decade since then? Man, I'm getting old. But I need to fill you in a little bit of backstory. So in the summers between college, I actually used to work as a lifeguard. I know what you're thinking. He doesn't kind of really look like the type. But guys, I am more athletic than it first appears. At least that's what I'd like to believe. So it is going to take us back to when I used to work at a town pool near me. And lifeguarding during the summers is one of those really just fun and sort of life experiences that only really happens at a certain time. And it's one of those things that while it is going on, you're like, these are pretty good days. So I definitely enjoyed them. So since it was a town pool, it means that it was comprised of many people on the staff. So if I remember correctly, there were about 70 to 80 people, which is insane for one facility. So this is going to take us back to 2012, like I said. So at the time, I was at the end of my sophomore year in college, I believe. So over the course of working there, I had gotten to know a few people very well, including some people that I am still friends with, and even saw last week, which is very cool. So it was one of those places that, let's just say, the boss was not the best, and we definitely did not enjoy him, but there's something about having a bad boss that kind of, unites people together. And now that I think about it, I wonder if he did it on purpose, knowing that fact. But probably not. I don't think he was wise enough to figure out the psychology of that. So I'm getting off topic. person and does not know that I am making this video. Although I will say it has probably been long enough, but I am just that kind of person. So we had started to get to know each other, and always in these kind of situations, it starts very slowly, very naturally, and it sort of is one of those situations in which the momentum builds up over time. So this was definitely one of those cases. So it starts with, just kind of talking at work in passing. And when you're sort of getting to know someone, when you're like, okay, this person, we're kind of on the same level, we're on the same page. So we had started to get to know each other, we're talking a lot, and at some point we had, one, exchanged phone numbers, and then two, we had a kind of a group of friends from work, and we would all hang out together. So she started coming to those little hangouts as well. You guys know, like ice cream, and back in those days when you're kind of like living with your family and you kind of go out to, escape them, but have a little bit of fun. So we were still getting to know each other, talking all the time, texting pretty much every day. So as the summer is continuing to go on, let's see, it was probably about 3 months, I want to say, that I was working maybe 5 days a week. So lifeguarding is one of those great jobs when you're a student, because I don't know about you guys, but I can't think of too many that are cool with you just working like 3 months and then being like, okay, I gotta get back to school now. So obviously we go to different schools, and it is one of those situations where the summer is ending, and back in those days I wasn't really as confident as I am now. I think that is sort of the situation with a lot of people. Kind of gain experience, gain confidence as they get older, and I am certainly no exception to that rule. So while this is all happening, maybe you did the same thing when you were younger, but I was just like, you know what? I really like this person. I should probably do something about it, but I'm making like all these excuses in my head, like, oh, maybe she's just being nice, maybe it's just because she's part of our friend group now, maybe she doesn't like me in the same way. Looking back on it now, all of the green flags, we shall say, and all of the signs pointed towards that she was interested, but I was just, I don't know, wearing like blinders or something. I'm sure a lot of you guys are just like face bombing right now, just being like, oh my goodness. I think back in those days, if somebody wasn't wearing like a neon sign that said, you should ask me out, I was just completely oblivious, but I think a lot of guys are like that. So anyway, the summer comes to an end. We both go back to school. Keep in mind that we are still chatting pretty much every day, texting back and forth. And in hindsight, it's just like I said earlier, all of the signs were there, and it's like a painfully obvious now. Let's just say, if it happened today, I would have approached things much differently. So I am not going to bore you guys with sort of the following months of exposition until we reach the next summer. So it gets to that time of year again when I come back home from school, preseason, a lot of different drills and training happen. They just want to make sure that if it comes to it, you can rescue someone. And guys, boy do I have some stories about that, but maybe that will be another time. So, everyone gets together, and our little friend group is reunited. So, I'm very, very excited to see her in person, and you know what it is, you try to play it cool, and for the most part, well, I don't know if this is true. I'd have to, I guess I'd really have to get a time machine to see, but I believe I played it cool. So I'm going, okay. I know that I am an absolute idiot when it comes to relationships, but even I believe that there is something there. So, I say, you know what? I'm gonna do something about this year. So, in the meantime, we are still talking. We are still getting to know each other in some ways. And some people could argue that there's so much to know about someone, it takes a long time. And I do really like to get to know people. I like to take my time. I'm definitely someone who is quality over quantity. The way that I approach dating is I am looking for a partner, basically, and I want to kind of make sure that someone is on the same page as I am, personality-wise, and that we're a good fit. So while this is happening, I'm like, okay, this is definitely a good fit. I feel good about this. So, the one thing at this point I will say is I was good enough and had enough hindsight to ask her out and make sure she knew that it was a date. Because let's be honest, when you're kind of friends with someone, there's a little bit of a gray area about whether you going out alone is a date or not. And, guys and girls can be friends. There's certainly nothing wrong with that. But if you want to make it a date, you should let your intention be known. So guys, I was, I don't want to say I was shocked when she said yes, but, my self-esteem wasn't where it is today. So it was like, okay, cool, I read that right. And then, in that moment, I sort of had this kind of self-talk where I was just like, okay, make sure your face is like, you want to be happy because you are, but just play it somewhat cool, and then you can do the fist pump later. You're like, yeah. That's such a 1940s cartoon thing. I'm thinking when a player scores in hockey and they're like, yeah, on the ice. So I'm thinking yeah, it's all good. So anyway, over the course of that summer, we spend as much time as we can together. And it's just one of those things where I don't want to say it was like a movie where you kind of go out and every reference that I'm thinking right now is just a 1950s movie, but some of those tropes are kind of true. We went to the diner, we went to get ice cream, we did some other stuff, which let's keep it PG, guys. This is supposed to be a relaxing story, but you do have make-out sessions with people. Plus, I had my own car at that point, and what are you gonna do? You're living with your parents, that's just kind of how it is, at least at that time. So anyway, things are going very well. decide, okay, should we try long distance? And there is sort of a stereotype about long distance and that it never works or whatever, but when you're in that sort of mindset, you're like, we're getting along very well. We're sort of these hallmarks of just chemistry are there. It's just there are certain things that are undeniable, I will say. So we both agree. We say, okay, we're going to try this long distance thing. When you do that, you say to yourself, I know the chances are not great, but we should maybe give this a try. Like, it comes from a place of let's at least try and see what happens. So at this point, it's just like, okay, we've already been talking basically every day for like a year anyway, but it is different when it is a relationship versus a friendship. Obviously, I don't think I have to explain that. I'm sure you guys know exactly the idea that I'm getting at. But unfortunately for us, over the next few months, it was one of those things where, as it gets further and further in time, and you haven't seen each other, you kind of say to yourself, I see why statistically long distance doesn't always work. And at that time, I was just like, okay, I don't feel good about, on my end, I was just like, I think she's probably gonna break up with me. And there are certain times where you're like, you know what, I wish I was wrong, but in this case, I was not. So it was, I don't know exactly how to describe it, but there is a certain kind of feeling that you get when you sort of realize that maybe you feel stronger about someone than they do about you, and it absolutely sucks. And it's one of those things that you're just like, dating has very high highs, but it also has just as equally low lows. So you kind of, at least in that relationship, I experienced both of them. So I'm up high, and now I'm kind of coming down. And then at this point, she has decided that she wants to break up, and I am like, I don't want to say devastated because I kind of saw it coming, but when you're in that moment, you're just like, oh, I wish I was wrong. And obviously treating people with respect is important to me, but you have those moments where it just like hurts too. So it's just like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to date anyone that I work with again. So that is what I learned. But guys, keep in mind that, I was like 20. I didn't know exactly what I was doing. I didn't know, well, I guess I thought I knew what I wanted, but to then fast forward now to just be like, oh, like, think back on that and kind of cringe in some ways. I think the learning experience is the most valuable. So guys, take what you can out of your previous relationships and kind of whatever is positive that you can bring into those. Definitely do that. And don't be afraid to put yourself out there like I was. Like I said, I definitely do it a lot differently now. But once you get on the other side of it, you're like, you know what? It sucked while I was going through it, but I'm glad that it happened. Much like other experiences that are typical of life,